Hello, it is Friday, August 20th, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Friday puzzle. We are at the end of the work week, so it is the puzzle of penultimate difficulty, most likely. Although yesterday, I would say, based on the comments, solvers found yesterday particularly difficult, which I understand. I very much understand that. It was a rebus, and as many people pointed out, there was quite a lot of trivia in yesterday's puzzle, and I would say those were the two biggest complaints I saw in the comments. People who were either unable to spot the rebus or simply find the idea of rebus offensive to them, which fair enough, although I have to admit, I do like a rebus. I do like this sort of puzzle element of it. And then people who found the sheer number of sort of trivia-based answers to be very difficult. So I'm going to read a few comments. George Adams writes, I really struggled at the end. I gave up and watched your video. I failed to notice I had misspelled loathsome, which was the source of most of my problems in finishing the puzzle. That said, I don't think I ever would have gotten moils. By the way, the Chicago Transit Authority's elevated lines are known as the L, the letter L. Other cities have L's, ELs, as spelled in yesterday's puzzle. And that little bit of Chicago knowledge was the main reason I wanted to read that comment. And I believe George is correct, actually. The Chicago is very much the L, the letter L, the elevated railway in Chicago. Whereas L's, ELs is a genericized term for an elevated railway. So I suppose it's not technically inaccurate for yesterday's clue to have referred to Chicago conveyance or whatever it was, because the L, capital letter, is an example of an L, E-L, but it is not the L, the E-L. It is an L. The is the capital letter L. Anyway, I'm turning my brain into mush with this line of thought, so I'm going to move on. But he also mentioned moils, and I would say outside of rebus, maybe the biggest complaint I saw among solvers in the comments yesterday was around the word moil. And I think I had sort of heard it before, but it's definitely not part of my daily vocabulary. That's certainly true. And I looked it up, and it's interesting. It is, dictionary indicates it is archaic, in fact. And it refers to, as was suggested by the clue yesterday, it's either a verb, to work hard, or it's a noun, hard work or drudgery, that kind of work. And it comes from the Latin mollis, which went to the French moilier for sort of paddling in mud or moistening. And what's interesting is that ended up forming part of an English phrase, toil and moil. So they went together, toil and moil. They were sort of a unit. And then from that, moil was able to essentially split off and become its own word. And it looks like usage of moil very precipitatively dropped in the early 19th century, and then stayed at a low level of usage until roughly the maybe 80s or so, 1980s, at which point it continued to decline. So moil is at an all-time low of usage. So not much of a surprise that so many people struggled with it in yesterday's puzzle. And let's see if there were any other comments I wanted to read. I mean, one thing that did strike me was that even with such a difficult puzzle as yesterday, with which so many people struggled, there were still a number of people who said, "Wow, this was a great Thursday puzzle for me. This was, one of my first really good Thursday solves." And I'm always, as I say so often, I'm always struck by how variable the difficulty of these puzzles are. And also, honestly, you will sort of eventually break through. Wes Hartgrove asked, I'm okay at the Monday, Wednesday puzzles, but Thursday to Saturday are an absolute slog, and I'm not sure how to get better. How did you get better at crosswords? Sheer repetition? How long did it take? And I think it is primarily practice and sort of thinking about these things, reminding yourself to consider the different meanings of a word, different sense that a clue could have. And again, I think I've said this before, Thursday really was the threshold for me. Thursday was the day when, I mean, I still, even now, when a Thursday puzzle isn't too bad for me, I still think of it as the day when the puzzle gets hard. And not only is it the day when the puzzle gets more difficult in, I think, a general sense, it's also the day on which there starts being a higher likelihood of trickiness, like that rebus from yesterday. Thursday can often be a sort of clever crossword day. Saturday is often a more straightforward level of difficulty. Saturday is just difficult, just more difficult cluing, more difficult answers. Thursday, often there's sort of a twist. So in a way, it makes it even a more challenging way for the difficulty to step up, because sometimes it requires a bit of lateral thinking. So that can be discouraging, I understand. But over time, with practice, it just gets easier, like everything does. And part of it is keeping in mind some of these thoughts about rethinking your assumptions, not letting your brain get into a rut with the same idea about what a solution might be. And hopefully, through this channel, we will all improve together. I still certainly feel as though I have plenty of room to improve. Even this week I struggled on that Tuesday puzzle. So it's a process, but it is an enjoyable process, I think. And it's also a very low stakes process. Nothing bad happens if you have to simply look up a clue now and then. Not the end of the world. And finally, this is something I didn't know. Sabrina Sandy says, "Thank you for a fun birthday solve, Chris." So happy birthday. Happy belated birthday, Sabrina. And she says, "Did you know you can get a framed print of any given crossword on the New York Times store?" I did not. I had no idea. I don't know if I have a favorite crossword or anything like that, but that's a fun thing. You could get a crossword of your day of birth or some other notable day. So yeah, that was a new one on me. Thanks, Sabrina. Okay, so let's move on to Friday. This has been quite a preamble. I apologize. So are we ready to get started? This is a Friday crossword by Randolph Ross, edited as always by Will Shorts. I think we are ready to get started. Okay. Everybody's talking about them. News items, no. Everybody's talking about them. Hot topics. That fits. It's a little bit speculative. Let's put it in for now, but only long enough to check some crosses. Let's go back here. Hope at the Oscars, e.g. I wonder if this could be an actor who, well, I don't even know if it would be their given name or their surname, but it could be an actor named Hope. I'm not sure. Half of hexadeca. So hexadeca would be 16, right? So half of that would be octa, I assume, 8. I would think so. A's, but not B's or C's. My first thought was blood type, but that's wrong because B is a blood type, and also it's plural, so it couldn't be type because it would need to be types. So there needs to be an S on the end. What would A's be, but not B's or C's? I'm not sure. Singing and dancing, say. Let's keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to see if I can get any of these as low-hanging fruit here. Descriptor for most scarves, but not gloves. I'm not sure. Sticky sandwich for short. Oh, PB&J, peanut butter and jelly. Words before New York and Paris in song titles. I love seems correct there. I love Paris. I can certainly imagine. I know that song. I love New York. That sounds like it would be a song. Salad veggie. Hot Topics looks pretty plausible to me, actually, here. Salad veggie. Seems like it should be very obvious. Keep wanting to say kale, but that obviously is not how it's spelled. Hallucinate. Could be see things? Yeah, maybe. So watercolor. Blue looks appropriate here, doesn't it? Oh, so what is, oh, salad, I didn't, here's another crossword tip. Salad veggie. Veggie is abbreviated. It's an abbreviated form of vegetable. So this is going to be an abbreviated form of the vegetable in question, a cuke. A cuke is what that is. There we go. Should have seen that immediately. I didn't even parse it, I don't think. Routine, part of a routine. So this is a cleverly written clue. I think this is a stale joke. In other words, part of a comedy routine that has become rote or stale. Hope at the Oscars, e.g. Host? Did someone named Hope host the Oscars? I didn't watch the Oscars this year. I usually don't, so could be. Well, I mean, that would fit actually with watercolor, ocean blue. Maybe. Would that work here? Controls, tasks, singing and dancing, say. Oh, talents. Talents, yes. So controls. Well, it'll end with an S, won't it? This is one of these things where I can't seem to see what should be probably an obvious answer. Description for most scarves, but not gloves. Onesies? No. 16 across squared. Well, this looks like 9, so I bet 16 across will be 3. Well, it just says C22 across, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Okay, why am I not seeing this? Controls, bait, no. Tases? Would that? I'm sorry. Why am I not seeing what this is? Do I have something else wrong here? A's, but not B's or C's. T's. What is that? That doesn't seem right. Team? Feel as though I got some good fills here, and now I'm struggling with things that should be extremely easy. I feel as though my brain is going stale at the moment, so I'm going to move on. Ravel's Gaspard de la... I don't know what that is. Nuit? Night? Gaspard of the Night? Could be. Who said the greatest victory is that which requires no battle? Very, very clever, but I don't know offhand. Short accompanying article. Near. Cowboys headgear. Could be helmets. The Cowboys as a sports team, presumably. So executive check would be a veto of some veto power, I suppose. When the executive doesn't sign off on something that's been passed by the legislature. But that doesn't, I mean, that doesn't have to be political. That could be anything. That could be an executive at a company could be able to veto decisions. Gets word, hears. I would like to get word about what's going on in those early crosses over on the northwestern part of the puzzle. Gets through, question of humanity that has never been answered. Let's just look at all of these. Big box store that sells boxes. Blood clots. Okay. All right, so I think we can guess some of these. Blood clots, this sounds like thrombosis, doesn't it? And this is the plural. So thromba or thrombi. I don't know which would be the plural. Surname of father and son NBA coaches Paul and Stephen. Well, that is terrible. I hope it, whatever these crosses end up being, I hope that this name looks like something that could only possibly be spelled with only one of either A or I. A kind of infection, a staph infection is what this looks like to me. Joe Louis in Detroit, for one. Could be a sports team. Big box store that sells boxes. I think this looks like Staples to me. Oh, maybe this is arena. Maybe there's an arena called Joe Louis Arena. Seems plausible. Gets through, penetrates. I really need to penetrate that northwestern quadrant of the puzzle. Not a quadrant, not even a quadrant. It's a little tiny corner. Question of humanity that has never been answered. Are we alone, I suppose? Asked, wondering, is there intelligent life elsewhere in the universe? Reference work, ref work, so abbreviation, that took more than 70 years to complete. That would be the Oxford English Dictionary, the OED, and a short accompanying article is a sidebar. Covers with chimney grime. Soots, I suppose? Sort of an odd phrasing. Is that a verb? Is that saying, in other words, to cover something with chimney grime is to soot it? Or is it saying that soots are nouns, are the covers with chimney grime? That makes less sense. So I suppose it's the verb, which is sort of odd. I mean, it could also not be soots. I could have that incorrect. I could have that wrong. Near, let's see. Surname of father and son, NBA coaches, Paul and Stephen. Oh boy, I could see this being I or A. It could be Silas or Salis. Oof, don't like that. Excel command. So Excel is a piece of spreadsheet software. You might want to sort your data in Excel. This could be sort. Let's look at these crosses and see if these make sense. Ear-related prefix, OTO, yeah, that looks right to me. Provider of inside info, and it's got a question mark. So inside, I'm guessing, is the sort of pun thing here. Maybe Soots is wrong. Not very confident, so let's get rid of it for now. Like best friends. Closest would be the most obvious thing, but it clearly doesn't fit. Could be truest, a true friend, maybe. Dramatic beginning. So this is clever. So you'd think this would be maybe a word that would introduce something dramatically, something like that. But I think what this probably is, I think this is referring to the opening of a play, a dramatic work. And that would be Act 1, Roman numeral 1, the letter I. I suspect that's what that's getting at. So best friends, could be truest. Provider of inside info. Oh, wait, what was that? Where was Soots? Was that? Oh, no, that could still technically be true. Okay. Provider of inside info. Let's look at this again. The inside info. What is that getting at? Sorry if you're seeing this. It seems like I should be able to. This is sort of an unusual collection of letters. It looks like I should be able to fit stuff in there. Anyway, let's, have we looked at all the acrosses here? I'm not sure yet. So here's that quote about victory and no battle. We have near, we have the surname that might have to come down to the, I'm just going to have to take a guess on this, I suppose. Passing stat, abbreviation. Could be interceptions, INT, maybe. More widespread, it probably ends in ER. Travel item for bookworms. That E is actually helpful because now this looks like e-reader. A rare example of an E clue that doesn't set me into fits of rage because e-reader is actually a phrase that exists that anybody on the planet has ever used. Rick Ross, Roddy Rich, and Rakim. They're rappers, I suppose. Certain textile workers. They could be dyers, people who dye the wool. Let's see. Maybe too alert. Let's look at this longer cross. In the end. I feel as though this could be a number of things in the end. Off the market. Not for sale? kind of wild stab. I would actually work with interceptions. Let's try not for sale and see what happens here. Natalie of Today. Oh, is that a television program, I'm guessing? I think I would at least know that, but I'm not 100% certain. And I don't know who this Natalie is. Saving Private Ryan or Apocalypse Now. So this is an or, which means we're only referring to either one of these and not both at the same time. So it's singular. So it is a war epic. Martin, who directed Norma Ray. I don't know, it's funny. Norma Ray actually was an answer in a recent puzzle. It was something like Ride. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, it doesn't. No, it was. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to try and do that. Anyway, I always wonder if, I suspect Will Short's the editor of the Crossword. I suspect he sort of has the puzzles scheduled out well in advance and works this sort of thing in, because presumably whatever the answer to this is could be clued with something else. But I think it was probably clued this way as a little nod to that recent clue. That's just my guess. I don't know if that's true or not. Anyway, I don't know who this is, so I don't know why I'm lingering so much on it. Superhero misidentification. Superhero misidentification. What is that getting at? Is that getting at their sort of alter ego or something? Oh, I see what this is. Very clever. This is from the, I don't even know, this is such sunk so deeply into the sort of cultural soil that I don't even really know specifically what this comes from. But I think this is getting at the exclamation made about Superman that I suppose was there a Superman television program that this came in front of? I actually don't know, but it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, right? It's a plane. It's not a plane, it's Superman. It's a misidentification of Superman. He gets confused for planes. It's a common problem with Superman. People are always thinking he's a plane. And I don't actually know. I haven't seen the Superman films, so I don't know if it's in those. But I certainly recognize the phrase. Anyway, maybe too alert. I see. If you're maybe too alert, you might be wired. Certain textile workers. Yeah, it does look like dyers, doesn't it? Aunt in Oklahoma. I've never seen Oklahoma. Having a lot of my cultural blind spots exploited today. Apt surname for a librarian. Well, this is at least an easy one. Could be Reed. Seems apt enough. Oops. Natalie of Today. Natalie, I'm just trying to think. Is this jogging my... Do I have this person's name buried in my memory somewhere? I probably don't, unfortunately. Short for short. What is that? I was thinking nil, meaning nothing, but that doesn't fit the part of speech. Till? Why am I not seeing? I'm sorry if you're seeing this. Let's keep looking, I suppose. More widespread. Rifer? As in difficult spots on this crossword are rife. In fact, they're rifer than usual. Ooh, don't like that word. I wonder if that sounds very awkward. I wonder if that's true. In the end. Oh, ultimately. Yes, ultimately, I'm going to have to make a call on the spelling of thrombi or thrombi. Ultimately. So Aunt Eller in Oklahoma, I suppose. I mean, that sounds like a name. I'll take it. Passing stat. I don't know. I guess it's not interceptions. Or it is and ultimately is wrong. Who said the greatest victory is that which requires no battle? Not sure still. Near, close. Oh, so this is near as a verb. Closing on? No, close in on. That matches it correctly, yes. If you say, I'm going to near this house, I'm going to close in on this house, I mean, you probably wouldn't say that. That sounds odd, but that's what that's getting at. So here, blank for life, scar for life. So passing stat, attacks? I don't actually know what that is. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of not knowing things on this crossword. I apologize. Who said, oh, Sun Tzu is what this is. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. And so descriptor for most scarves is one size, as in one size fits all, unlike gloves, which do tend to have sizes. That makes sense. So I think this Gaspard de la would be nuit, actually, for night. Border county of New York or Pennsylvania. I don't know. There's so many holes in my knowledge in this crossword. I suspect we'll see a lot of people in the comments saying similarly. So, Natalie of today. Oh, Morales, maybe? I mean, that's a name. Short for short. Oh, little. Yeah. Probably should have gotten that one a little bit earlier. Compliment to an outfielder. Lots of sports today. Nice catch, I suppose. Okay, let's see. Border county of New York or Pennsylvania. I was hoping that with crosses this would look obvious, but it isn't obvious to me anyway. Covers with chimney grind. So Tioga, I mean, maybe if this were Soot's. Provider of inside info. Coase, what is this getting at? Boy, this is not my day. French Film Festival Fair. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? French Film Festival Fair. Say that 5 times fast. I won't, I'll spare you. What is this? I'm not sure. I mean, presumably it's I guess it would probably be a genre of film because film you wouldn't need this many letters. And it's not cinema because we have that R, which may be incorrect, but I don't think it is. But even if it was cinema, that'd be not enough letters. So anyway, snacks for squirrels. Something with nut? I don't know. Syndicate in a way. I think this probably is rerun or re-air. When a television program goes into syndication, it's when episodes from the back catalog essentially are being re-aired on television. So it could be re-air or rerun. Let's look back up here. Martin, who directed Norma Ray. Martin, I just don't know offhand. Sickens with sweetness. Well, it probably ends with an S, doesn't it? I would think. Catalyzed with up. Could be sped up. Catalyze something, you speed it up. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what you'd say, but it's plausible. Kowtowed to. So sort of catered to. Or sucked up to in a way. Patronizing types. And took control of. What we have to fill here. And then what do we have down here? City at one end of Lake Pontchartrain for short, or Pontchartrain. I don't know what. I don't know if it's in the U.S. It's probably not Pontchartrain, but it could be in Canada and have a French pronunciation. Anyway, I don't know is what I'm saying. I don't even know the country in question. I'm trying to think of cities that would. Nome? No. Syndicate in a way could be rerun or re-air. So let's see. Patronizing types. took control of, headed up, maybe? I mean, that's sort of had control of as opposed to took control of. It's not enough letters anyway. So I'm getting stuck here. Hope at the Oscars. Still could be takes. Why can I not see what this is? Controls. A's but not B's or C's. I want this to be team, but I don't understand why B's or C's wouldn't be a team. You can have an A team, but also a B, but it says A's, not A. And this probably is host, isn't it? I mean, it's got to be. What else could it possibly be? Unless this person's name is Hope Hose, which I don't find to be very likely. So let's say it is T. Controls. Tames, to sort of tame an animal and control it. So then what is A's as a team? But not B's or C's. Oh my God. Okay. This is a very sports heavy crossword. I think the Oakland A's. I lived in San Francisco for most of my life, and across the bay was the Oakland A's, and the A's is a team. Boy, if you didn't know that, this would be absolutely inscrutable. This would not be something you could easily get with crosses, unless you get tames for controls, which is, was my route to it anyway. Okay, so let's see. What do we have here? We have provider of inside info. This is another one that now this one really does feel like I should be able to get it. Because at this point, we have so many crosses that there aren't very many plausible things this could be, but I'm not seeing what the plausible things are. Oh, what? Sorry. I apologize if you saw this and have been yelling at me this whole time. I've spelled Soot's Suze. So I would never have had a chance of getting this. Oh my goodness. So Soot's. So now we have, all right, now it's very straightforward. A provider of inside info, and a provider of information from inside is a CT scanner, a medical scanning device. Oof, all right. Well, that was ridiculous. What a waste of my and your time. Okay, French Film Festival Fair. Art, something around art. Martin, who directed Norma Ray. Snacks for squirrels. I mean, it does look like nut something, doesn't it? Nut seed. City at one end of Lake Pontchartrain. I don't know. They can be, I don't think we looked here. They can be sapphic. So I think this is our old friend odes, a common sapphic ode. Ode being a very, very common fill in the crossword. So I guess we haven't looked at all the clues yet. Log time. This could be quite a few things. It could be log, in other words, a trunk of a tree felled. It could be log as in logarithm, the mathematical operation. It could be log as in a record that you have kept, which is a verb or a noun. Okay, catalyzed with up. Yeah, so that could be sped up. Cubby hole with a question mark. Cubby hole with a question mark. What is that getting at? Cubby hole. So one of these, or the phrase in general is sort of pun-like. Kowtowed to. Well, with that P here, it looks like up, right? Kowtowed to, you could say sucked up to, which isn't the case here, but I just mean that up is plausible in general. Patronizing types and took control of. So this D is also plausible for took control of, if we had an E there. Harnessed, sort of similar to controls and tames, actually. And log time. Oh, yeah, Yule. the Christmas season with a Yule log in the fire. Or I guess the cake, a bûche de Noël, Yule log. Sickens with sweetness, cloys. Yes, something is cloying, it is sickeningly sweet. So what is this snacks for squirrels? I don't actually know if it's nut. Sorry if you're seeing some of these. Syndicate in a way, so I wasn't sure if it was rerun or re-air, but I think it's now re-air because we have that R. City at one end of Lake Pontchartrain. I don't know how to, still don't know which is the correct pronunciation. Kowtowed to, oh, I see, patronizing types. I was thinking of this incorrectly as patronizing meaning sort of condescending, patronizing to somebody. But what it means is it's someone who patronizes a business. In other words, that business's clientele. Oh, I've done it again. I've made the same exact mistake that I made somewhere else up there, which is that I haven't taken into account, in this case, for short. It is an abbreviation of a city. And in this case, NOLA, New Orleans, Louisiana. And it makes sense that this lake would have a name of obviously French origin, given the French heritage of New Orleans. So kowtowed to Toadida, cubbyhole, I suppose, is a den. In other words, I suppose bear cubs, bear den. Is toadied up? Does that make any sense at all? Oh, art scene. So is that what this is getting at? French Film Festival fair art scene. And then would snacks be nutlets? This all feels incredibly awkward. Nutlets, is that a word? And then toadied up is a sort of an odd one. I have no choice but to assume that this is basically correct. And we're going to have to make the final choice here between Silas and Solace. Let's say Silas. Hey! All right, so that was a tricky puzzle for me. Be curious to know how you fared with this puzzle. I found this a tough one. I did. So, a lot of sports on this puzzle. We had Silas, we had this arena, although arena I was able to get purely through sort of inference, I suppose. There was this ATT as a passing stat. Silas, obviously, which was this guess in the end. And a lot of proper nouns generally. We had this border county of New York or Pennsylvania, Tioga. If you if you do not have an American cultural background, at least you can take comfort in the fact that I didn't know quite a few of these things either, and had to rely on crosses. This aunt in Oklahoma, Eller, Natalie Morales, had to get that through crosses and inference. Definitely not my areas of expertise today. I will say that's for sure. Got there in the end. I think was lucky with this early hot topics that gave me something to build on in this top corner over here. But yeah, this was a I would say a tough puzzle, all things considered. So do let me know how you fared. I had quite a bit of preamble at the beginning of today's puzzle, so I'm not going to drag this out any longer. So if you did enjoy this puzzle, this video, I should say, and if you enjoy the series in general, you should subscribe to it. Or maybe this is your first video. Hello, welcome. Subscribe to the channel, why don't you? And you'll see these videos when they go up each morning. And why not tell a friend? They might enjoy this as well. They might not even know they would enjoy such a thing as a man slowly solving a crossword puzzle on the internet, but perhaps they would. You'll never know unless you tell them. And finally, if you are particularly enjoying this series and you would like to help ensure its continued ability to exist, then why not toss a few bucks or a couple of quid over via my Ko-fi page, which is linked underneath each video in the description field. And that is the mechanism by which I am hoping to make this thing an ongoing, sustainable part of my daily life, as it has been for the last couple of months. And thank you to those of you who have been watching for anywhere up to from that last couple of months down to just, as I say today, if this was your first video. I appreciate it very much, and thank you so much to everyone who has chipped in a little bit to help keep it going. So with that, I will be off. Have an excellent rest of your Friday. I hope to see you again tomorrow for the Saturday puzzle, which perhaps will have a bit of a reprieve. Maybe tomorrow will be a little bit easier for a Saturday puzzle after maybe an arguably tricky Thursday and Friday. You never know, but also maybe not. So again, I hope to see you then. But until that point, have a great rest of your Friday. Take care.